Let's get right into this review for The End of Oak Street. Alright, so this film is directed by David Robert Mitchell. This was one of those films where the initial glimpse of the trailers caught me off guard in a good way. It seemed like an original sci-fi adventure that I would have a pleasant time with at the theaters. This didn't feel like a story that was trying so hard to do something overly profound, but rather to provide a fun popcorn flick experience like the good old days in the early 2000s. So now that I viewed the film, what did I think about the cinematic package here? Unfortunately, I thought this film still fell short of my expectations. To start with the positives, I did enjoy Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor in this film. Both of them had great performances, and I enjoyed their chemistry in the bits we saw them together. I also enjoyed the general setup to the literal end of Oak Street. There was a steady flow to the build-up of peculiar and subtle changes, and I was intrigued to see how things would inevitably play out. The entire first act came out the strongest by far, and I was thoroughly impressed with everything I witnessed initially. I also enjoyed the general visual presentation in this film. There's something fun about visualizing the suburbs in the 1980s, paired with the sudden appearance of prehistoric animals and life. Now to get into the core negatives I had with the film, I found the film to be pretty shallow in its overall presentation. There's something loose, stringing almost every plot point together, and something about the core of this experience which felt artificial and C-tier at best. Lots of moments that felt way too coincidental in timing for its own good, that ends up being a con by the end of the film. Also, there's not a whole lot of interesting elements going on in the core of the main family dynamic. I found all of the characters in this film to be mediocre as characters, but also to feel a bit lacking with the acting in general. There's also a ton of unnecessary subplots within each of the character arcs that don't feel all too satisfying by the conclusion of these said subplots. Also, the ending in Act 3 was just so C-tier with tons of plot holes to it. It's more of a just go with the flow ending for sure, rather than a cohesive ending to this entire experience, which may further bum you out by the finish line. Also, the general use of dinosaurs were cool to witness, but everything started to feel a bit generic towards the end point of Act 2 with this element. My final score for The End of Oak Street ends up being 5 out of 10. This was still an alright one-time watch experience for me. I did end up getting disappointed with the overall cinematic experience, but I still found some moments in this film to be good enough to entertain me in short bursts throughout the acts. Anyway, since we're watching this movie review, I'll have a ton more content coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I shall see you on my next upload. Until then, stay safe out there, and peace!